The newspaper delivery had stopped 3 weeks ago, but I kept finding my copies in Kinsley Barnes's recycling bin across the street. I'm Lincoln Perez, 34, Benefits Supervisor for Coastal Healthcare Systems. I've lived at 847 Magnolia Drive in Golden Crossing for 2 years. The neighborhood sits in the heart of Mapleton Hollow, South Carolina, where HOA covenants run thicker than summer humidity. The missing papers started as an annoyance. The Mapleton Herald arrived every Tuesday and Friday. I'd subscribed when I moved in. Good local coverage of city council meetings and property tax assessments. Then suddenly, nothing. I called the circulation department twice. They insisted delivery continued to my address. Their records showed no interruption, no missed payments. No delivery complaints logged in their system. But my mailbox stayed empty every Tuesday and Friday morning. I started watching from my kitchen window at 6:15 a.m. The delivery truck never slowed at my house. It hit every other address on Magnolia Drive. Mrs. Chen at 845. The Hendersons at 849. Even the vacant rental at 851 got papers stacked by the door. My address got skipped entirely. Last Thursday I walked the neighborhood after work. Routine evening stroll. Nothing suspicious. I passed Kinsley's house at 848 Magnolia Drive. She served as our HOA's volunteer flowerbed planner. Always friendly. Always waving from her garden. Her blue recycling bin sat curbside for Friday pickup. I glanced inside without thinking. Habit from my job reviewing insurance claims. Details matter. Matters. 15 copies of the Mapleton Herald sat folded neatly inside. All addressed to 847 Magnolia Drive. All dated from the past 3 weeks. My name printed clearly on each mailing label. I stood there for 10 minutes. Cars passed. Neighbors walked dogs. Normal suburban evening sounds continued around me, but something had shifted. The papers weren't misdelivered. They weren't stolen randomly. Someone had been intercepting my mail systematically. Someone had been collecting it. Someone had been disposing of it deliberately. Someone wanted vendors and services to think I'd moved away. The question wasn't who had access to my delivered newspapers. The question was why Kinsley Barnes needed everyone to believe I no longer lived at 847 Magnolia Drive. I am Lincoln Perez, 34 years old. Benefits Supervisor for Coastal Carolina Insurance Group. I moved to Golden Crossing in Mapleton Hollow 18 months ago. The neighborhood seemed perfect then. Golden Crossing spans 47 acres of planned community development. Established 1998. Homeowners Association maintains strict architectural guidelines. Covenant restrictions cover everything from fence heights to mailbox colors. Monthly dues fund landscaping and common area maintenance. I bought 847 Magnolia Drive after my divorce finalized. Clean slate. Fresh start. The HOA packet included 63 pages of regulations. I read every word. Compliance matters in planned communities. Kinsley Barnes introduced herself the day I moved in. She brought homemade cookies and a welcome folder. Explained the neighborhood dynamics. Pointed out which residents served on various committees. Offered to help with any questions about HOA procedures. She'd lived at 848 Magnolia Drive for 12 years. Husband worked construction. 2 teenage kids. She volunteered as flowerbed planner since 2019. Responsible for seasonal plantings in common areas. Coordinated with the landscaping contractor. Managed the annual flower budget. We became friendly neighbors. She borrowed my hedge trimmer twice. I accepted packages when she traveled. Normal suburban interactions. I trusted her completely. The newspaper situation started 6 weeks ago. Tuesday delivery stopped first. Then Friday editions disappeared. I assumed delivery problems. Route changes. Driver turnover. These things happen with local papers, but the circulation manager insisted delivery continued normally. Their GPS tracking showed stops at my address. Driver confirmed placement in my mailbox. No complaints from other Magnolia Drive residents. I started documenting everything. Spreadsheet with delivery dates, photos of empty mailbox, timestamps for each check. My insurance background taught me collection. Paper trails matter. 3 weeks of missing papers. No logical explanation. Then I found them in Kinsley's recycling bin. I photographed them with my phone. 15 newspapers. All addressed to me, all dated within the missing period. Clear proof of systematic interception. But why would she want my newspapers? What purpose did this serve? I researched mail theft statutes. Federal crime, under 18. Postal inspectors handle investigations. But newspapers aren't technically mail. Private delivery service. Different jurisdiction. Harder to prosecute. I needed more information before confronting anyone. Friday morning, I called the Mapleton Herald Circulation Department again. Asked specific questions about delivery procedures. The manager explained their system. Drivers scan addresses with handheld devices. GPS coordinates logged for each stop. Delivery confirmation sent to central database. I requested my delivery records. Customer service policy allowed account holders to review their data. They emailed 3 months of GPS logs within 2 hours. The records showed consistent delivery to 847 Magnolia Drive, every Tuesday and Friday. Driver scanned my address correctly. But I never received the papers. Someone intercepted them between delivery and my mailbox check. I studied the timing. Delivery truck arrived between 5:45 and 6:15 a.m. I typically left for work at 7:30 a.m., 90-minute window for interception. Early enough that most neighbors stayed inside. Dark enough for concealment. Saturday morning I positioned myself at my front window at 5:30 a.m., coffee in hand. Clear view of my mailbox and driveway. The delivery truck arrived at 6:02 a.m. Driver placed the weekend edition in my mailbox. Drove away immediately. I waited. Watched. Documented. At 6:18 a.m., Kinsley Barnes walked across the street. She wore a dark jogging outfit. Moved casually. Checked both directions before approaching my mailbox. Removed the newspaper. Walked back to her house. 16 minutes after delivery. Systematic theft. Calculated timing. I recorded everything with my phone. Clear video. Her face visible. License plate readable. Timestamp accurate. But I still didn't understand her motivation. Why steal newspapers? What did she gain from this deception? Monday afternoon, I visited Mapleton City Hall. Public Records Department. Requested property information for both our addresses. The clerk pulled assessment files. Survey documents. Zoning classifications. Everything public record. I discovered something interesting. Kinsley Barnes had filed 3 complaints about my property in the past 2 months. Alleged HOA violations. Improper fence height. Unauthorized landscaping modifications. Unapproved exterior paint color. All complaints filed with the HOA board. All claiming I'd abandoned the property. All requesting enforcement action against an absent homeowner. The pattern became clear. She wanted the HOA to believe I'd moved away, abandoned my property, stopped maintaining compliance with community standards. This would trigger violation procedures, fines, liens, potential foreclosure proceedings. But why target me specifically? What did she gain from my property troubles? I researched HOA foreclosure procedures. South Carolina law allows associations to place liens for unpaid dues and fines. Properties can be sold at auction after proper notice periods. Homeowners lose equity. Buyers get discounted prices. Kinsley's husband worked construction. They had renovation experience. Property flipping background. They could benefit from acquiring my house below market value. Tuesday morning, I confronted her directly. Knocked on her door at 7 a.m. She answered in her robe. Surprised expression. Defensive posture. I showed her the video. The recycling bin photos. The delivery records. Everything documented clearly. She denied everything initially. Claimed coincidence. Suggested delivery errors. Blamed the newspaper company for poor service. Then I mentioned the HOA complaints. The abandonment allegations. The foreclosure implications. Her expression changed. Calculation replaced confusion. She realized I'd connected all the pieces. You can't prove anything, she said. Those papers were in my recycling. I found them blowing around the neighborhood. I was being a good neighbor, but I had proof. Video. GPS records. Documentation of systematic theft over 6 weeks. I know exactly what you've been doing, I told her. And I know why. She slammed the door without another word. That afternoon, I received a certified letter from the HOA board. Notice of violation hearing. Scheduled for the following Thursday. Multiple complaints filed against my property. Failure to maintain community standards. Abandonment of residents. Kinsley Barnes had escalated her campaign. The newspaper theft was just the beginning. I needed legal backup before the HOA hearing. Wednesday morning, I contacted the Mapleton Hollow Municipal Zoning Division. Explained the situation to the clerk. Property harassment. Document theft. Fraudulent HOA complaints. They transferred me to Detective Logan Simmons from the County Land Records Office. He specialized in property fraud cases, real estate scams, HOA abuse situations, newspaper theft to trigger foreclosure proceedings, he said. We've seen this before. Usually involves insider knowledge of HOA processes. I sent him everything. Video files. Delivery records. HOA correspondence. Timeline documentation. He reviewed the within 2 hours. Strong case, he confirmed. But we need more proof of intent. Can you record the HOA hearing? South Carolina allows single-party consent recording. I could legally document the proceedings without disclosure. Thursday evening arrived. The HOA meeting was held at the Golden Crossing Community Center. 7 board members present. Kinsley Barnes sat in the front row. Confident posture. Prepared notes. I activated my phone recorder, placed it strategically in my jacket pocket. Board President Soren Barnes called the meeting to order. No relation to Kinsley despite the shared surname. He read the violation charges aloud. Property abandonment. Failure to maintain landscaping standards. Non-compliance with community guidelines. Multiple neighbor complaints filed. Kinsley stood to present her. She had photographs, detailed reports, witness statements from other residents. Mr. Perez hasn't been maintaining his property, she testified. No newspaper pickup for weeks. Overgrown grass. Neglected flower beds. Clear signs of abandonment. She showed pictures of my yard, taken from public sidewalks. Legitimate documentation of actual maintenance issues I'd been addressing. But then she made a critical error. I've been collecting his newspapers from my recycling bin, she said. They keep getting delivered to the wrong address. I've been trying to return them. The board members nodded sympathetically. Reasonable explanation. Good neighbor behavior. I stood to respond, presented my counter methodically. Mrs. Barnes has been systematically stealing my newspapers, I began. I have video proof of theft, GPS tracking data, delivery confirmation records. I played the security footage on my laptop. Clear images of Kinsley taking papers from my driveway, walking directly to her house. No attempt at return or correction. The room went silent. Board members exchanged glances. Kinsley's face flushed red. This appears to be deliberate theft, Soren Barnes observed, not accidental delivery errors. I continued presenting Clyde. The timeline correlation. HOA complaints filed immediately after newspaper theft began. The systematic pattern over 6 weeks. Mrs. Barnes wanted you to believe I'd abandoned my property, I explained. Trigger violation procedures. Create foreclosure opportunities. Kinsley stood abruptly. This is ridiculous. I was helping the community, cleaning up loose papers. But the video was undeniable. Theft. Premeditation. Fraudulent HOA manipulation. Detective Simmons arrived during the presentation. I'd invited him as a witness. He introduced himself to the board, explained the criminal investigation. Property fraud is a felony in South Carolina, he announced. Theft of mail or newspapers, false reporting to HOAs, conspiracy to commit foreclosure fraud. The board immediately suspended all violation proceedings against my property, pending criminal investigation. They also voted to remove Kinsley Barnes from her flowerbed planning position. Effective immediately, Kinsley stormed out of the meeting, threatened legal action, claimed harassment and defamation. But Detective Simmons had enough for charges: theft, fraud, conspiracy. He arrested her the following Monday. The case proceeded through magistrate court. Kinsley pled guilty to misdemeanor theft, received 6 months probation, community service requirement, restitution for my legal costs. More importantly, the HOA implemented new complaint verification procedures. Independent investigation required. Multiple witness confirmation. Protection against fraudulent reporting. I also discovered Kinsley had targeted 2 other homeowners previously. Similar newspaper theft schemes. HOA manipulation tactics. Detective Simmons expanded his investigation. Both neighbors came with additional RAs. Pattern of harassment. Systematic property targeting. Coordinated foreclosure attempts. The expanded charges resulted in felony fraud convictions. Kinsley received 18-month supervised probation. Banned from all HOA activities. Required to sell her Golden Crossing property. Her husband faced separate charges for conspiracy. Construction license suspension. Real estate fraud allegations. Their property flipping business collapsed entirely. Justice felt methodical, systematic. Appropriate consequences for calculated betrayal. 18 months later, Golden Crossing had transformed into something resembling actual community. I'm Lincoln Perez, 42 years old. Still processing benefits claims for the state. Still living at 847 Maple Ridge Drive. But everything else had changed. The Neighborhood Watch program I established met monthly. Focused specifically on property fraud prevention. Document verification training. HOA complaint procedures. Legal resource sharing. Soren Barnes joined as treasurer. His background in municipal planning proved invaluable. We created comprehensive fraud detection protocols. Early warning systems for suspicious HOA activity. The program expanded beyond Golden Crossing. Mapleton Hollow City Council adopted our verification procedures. Standard practice for all residential communities. Detective Simmons provided training seminars quarterly. My property value recovered completely. The fraudulent violations disappeared from HOA records. Clean. Restored credit rating. Insurance rates returned to normal. Kinsley's former house sold to a young family. The Hendersons. 2 children. Golden Retriever. They planted actual flowers in the disputed flowerbed area. Ask permission first. The HOA board implemented transparency requirements. All violation complaints required photographic, independent verification. Appeal processes. Board meeting recordings became mandatory. Property fraud attempts dropped to 0. Word spread through surrounding communities. Golden Crossing became a model for HOA accountability. Other neighborhoods requested consultation. I created a neighborhood watch group focused on preventing property fraud, and I depended on them for ongoing vigilance. Trust required constant maintenance. Verification systems. Community oversight. Detective Simmons closed 14 related cases. Property fraud ring spanning 3 counties. Kinsley's conviction triggered broader investigations. Multiple arrests. Systematic prosecution. The newspaper delivery issue resolved permanently. New vendor protocols. Signature confirmation. Theft reporting procedures. Simple solutions for complex problems. My morning routine returned to normal. Coffee. Newspaper. Property inspection. But now I documented everything. Photographs. Timestamps. Verification habits. The silence in Golden Crossing felt different now. Earned through struggle. Protected by systems. Maintained through community vigilance. No more mysterious violations. No more property line disputes. No more fraudulent complaints. Just neighbors being neighbors. The betrayal had cost 18 months of stress, legal fees, emotional exhaustion. But it produced something valuable. Community awareness, fraud prevention, systematic protection. Other homeowners thanked me regularly, shared their own suspicious experiences, reported potential fraud attempts. The network functioned exactly as designed. Golden Crossing became what it always claimed to be: a community, protected by transparency, strengthened by accountability, secured through verification. The morning sun hit my property line markers, surveyed, documented, legally confirmed. No disputes, no questions, no fraudulent claims. It was finally over, and the silence felt earned.